to a brand new episode of Radio City Freedom Exchange with me, Vijayalakshmi, and joining me this afternoon. I cannot tell you how happy am I to be hosting three beautiful women who, firstly, are in the age bracket between 18 to 25, and I'm already getting a complex out here because I don't know what I should be doing. I feel like exiting this conversation right now. Joining me this afternoon is Kiara Chettri, singer-songwriter from New Delhi, Banat Kaur Bagga from Mumbai, and Frizzell from Bangalore. Firstly, welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having us.
So much for having me, honestly.
So, I want to quickly start diving into. Firstly, let me congratulate the three of you because the three of you have put out such excellent music in 2020 despite all the odds that were against you. I mean, Banat, your EP Flish has been listed under several publications as one of the albums of the year. Kiara, you made a remarkable debut with 4 a.m. actually, and not many people know because, but hear me out when I say this. Kiara is just 17, and I don't know what I was doing at the age of 17. I can't even remember. My memory doesn't serve me right. But releasing an album, an album that contains such maturity and such funk for someone at the age of 17. Firstly, hats off to you for that. And Frizzell, you've released two beautiful singles, New and Drown Away. I will first start asking the three of you, whoever wants to go first. When the lockdown first happened, as artists, firstly, as artists with very limited resources and limited opportunities for yourself, what was the first, that first reaction or that first thought that it, instantly pinched you guys?
I would say that at first, see, I had a lot of plans that, oh, I'll release my album, I'll perform. I think all artists have kind of missed out is on live gigs, and that's really,
Yeah.
really sad because live gigs is obviously an amazing way of promoting your music. But I guess my first reaction was, oh God, now like what am I gonna do? Album to ready ho jayega. It'll be fine. But how will I kind of perform it? But slowly, I mean, I realized that okay, this entire world is going. It's a global pandemic. I can't just sit here and worry about something like that. I just have to go and prove myself and show that it's okay. I mean, if other artists are doing it, I'm sure I can. So I guess that was my first reaction to this entire lockdown situation.
The entire process of songwriting began for me once the lockdown was in place, and that was when everybody started going live on Instagram. So I didn't have that much experience with live gigs, and so I think my music just started online entirely, and it was with meeting people digitally and performing to people online that sort of gave me this real big push into writing music and releasing it. So for me, in a way, I found this entire community of people online that I probably would not have found in a place like Bangalore, where the original music scene is not thriving enough, or it's beginning right now. So it was just lovely to see so many people come together from all different parts of the world, in fact, on a social media platform and encourage each other. So it was quite overwhelming for me, and I think I appreciate that.
Now that I think about it, I can remember it. Actually had an entire tour planned for the UK. So I had 8 gigs planned out in London and Manchester. And
Oh,
post that, I was to come back and release my EP and do a tour in India. So, and of course, we were hit by the pandemic. So I was absolutely bummed when that happened because I had my tickets booked, I had my gigs booked as well. I had my band members who were actually coming from, a few of them were coming from the US as well because we had met uh, last year at London Music School. So we were supposed to come back together and perform in the UK. And of course, nobody could end up coming. So it was quite bumming, but I feel like I instantly detached from that. I just kind of wanted to be home and make things. I was just like writing a lot and just being at home and doing things. Didn't really think about releasing the EP until really long into the lockdown because I was like, okay, this is not ending. So I'm going to have to put my music out now because I need to start writing more music. So if I don't put this out, I'm not going to be able to get enough inspiration to, delve into some more stuff that I want to write. So that is what really pushed me to release my music. But Lockdown honestly wasn't that difficult apart from the first few days of not being able to do the tour. But apart from that, I was quite okay. I love being at home and I love writing and just being by myself. So that worked out pretty well for me in terms of creative energies flowing in. So yeah.
I think with the lockdown, I think what we really saw was how musicians were really trying to reach out, to the larger community, whether it's via the social media, especially Instagram lives had really become a thing during the lockdown. Frizzle, actually, you were propelled to putting out your music because of the Instagram connections that you built. I think you reached out. S.R. Nurani, who's such a celebrated musician himself in his right. I think he encouraged you in a bit. Would you like to tell the three of us a little more on that? How did that happen?
Definitely. So it was actually Ehsan sir and Raghav Miatal who would do this thing where they would go live every night. And it wasn't out of compulsion. It was just, it began very spontaneously and they would take on musicians to play their original music. And then soon that became a way for unheard artists to play their music for the first time in front of an audience and have such big names listen to their music. So even when I played my music first for Esansa and Raghav, they both were extremely encouraging. I still remember Sansa giving me advice, and I could never have imagined this otherwise. I mean, what kind of a connection would we have had if not for the lockdown? So he definitely helped a lot of artists. In fact, Raghav even went to the extent of conducting workshops for this entire community that he built online. He calls it the community now, and so yeah, he's really helped a lot of people, and I think the online world has really kicked off in that arena.
Banat, you also did a lot of Instagram sessions, I believe, during the lockdown.
Yeah, I did. Actually, this was the first time I ever did an Instagram live because I have pre-lockdown. Instagram live was something that I never delved into. I'm just not really. I think that I'm not very technologically savvy. I can be a bit I can be a bit dumb sometimes with these things. And
Oh,
when the lockdown happened, I was like, okay, there's no way now that I can perform but Instagram live. So it was the first time I ever tried Instagram live. And yeah, then I did a couple of gigs online and all of that. So
Kiara, before you, of course, release 4 a.m., via digital streaming platforms, thanks. We must thank their existence. But between the realization that lockdown has hit me and between releasing, finally putting out the album, thing, how did you utilize the phase in between to your advantage?
Like I said before, that obviously all artists missed out on a lot of live gigs, and but like you said, there's Instagram and social media. That's a blessing and a curse. But I instantly knew ki chalo, I can't perform live. So I have to go on Instagram. And I had gone live, even before the pandemic. I would go live like once in 2 weeks, once you didn't really give that much attention to like that tool on Instagram. But after that, every weekend I would go live, people would join, and it was really overwhelming. So I guess going live and just posting a lot of covers, posting snippets of my, unreleased, that time was unreleased music from 4 a.m., that had kind of build my audience more. And I guess that's pretty much all I did before the album released, and before putting it on the music distributor. So yeah, and I still plan to go live, because that's very, very important. And I'm still going to work on my upcoming unreleased music.
Let's talk about your initial inclinations towards music. Kiara, I believe you had said in your interview to Rolling Stone that you kind of despised the idea of singing, you kind of resisted it as a kid. Banat, you took to the harmonium when you were just 5. So can the three of you quickly just tell me like how did the germ or the inkling towards the music happen?
I started singing when I was 4. And my mom has a music school in Gurgaon called Chanter Calls. So since she started running that, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put my 2 kids, and you guys are gonna learn music." I hated it because I was 4 and I found it so boring to sit there and sing. I wanted to run around and all. So I did not like it. I used to cry. My mom used to pull me into like, vocal classes and guitar and piano and everything. And then, slowly when I, obviously when I became like 12 or 13, people started telling me, oh, you sing well. And when someone tells you sing well or you're good at something, it just boosts your confidence like a lot. So I was like, okay, I sing well apparently, so let me work on that. So obviously then I focused mainly on vocals more than my other instruments that I was learning. But I was learning drums and piano and keyboards, guitar side by side to accompany my vocals when I, if I ever perform live in the future. So I, started working on my vocals and everything, and I started singing a lot of, the classics, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and I started posting covers on Instagram. That time I had like about 200, 100, 200 followers, and at that time the only people who knew I would sing was like my schoolmates, my teachers. They would make me sing on stage in school, and all of that kind of made me think, oh my god, I can actually do this, and if I actually get good at this, it can be something. So when I turned 13, I gave my final, like this grade 8 vocal examination that you should give for Trinity. And once I gave that, I kind of said, okay, this is it. I want to pursue music, and I'm going to make music, I'm going to release music, and I'm going to, go on world tours and just, be this singer who really inspires people with her lyrics.
I think I relate to Kiara a lot in the sense that I think you were sort of rebelling the idea of getting into music. My family was also into music. My dad would collect a lot of music from abroad, and they put my sister and I into music classes. So I would learn the violin, and my sister would learn the piano. And of course, as a kid, being a teenager, I absolutely hated it. But I think despite all of my rebellion, that's where I picked up, whatever skills I had at that point. And slowly, when I had to move to college, um, I sort of stopped getting into music that much because I was doing architecture. I still am doing architecture, and I didn't get a lot of time to work on my music. But I think it was around the second or third year when things were getting really hectic, and I music became the sort of an escape. So I would just pick up my guitar and play during breaks. And at some point, just for fun, I would put up covers on my YouTube channel. I never gave it a lot of thought, but when exactly once, as Kiara said, when someone tells you that you sing well, someone says, "I like watching your covers." It gives you confidence, and you think, okay, if someone's actually enjoying this, why don't I put something else up for them to see? And that became a thing, and so yeah, that just things kept building up on that, and finally wrote my own stuff, and I have like a really good audience, or much bigger audience than I had at least a year ago. So I think that's where it all started, my violin classes.
So I actually absolutely relate with Kiara and Frizzell both because even when I was younger, I was forced by my grandmom to learn the harmonium, and
Okay.
yeah, and I was actually taken like I used to go to the gurdwara to perform, so I was learning kirtan as a kid, and I used to really hate doing that because of course I was forced to do it, and um, in the seventh grade, I was actually introduced to Metallica, and then there was just no going back from there. I was like, there's no way I'm doing kirtan again. I'm not going to Gurdwara. I listen to metal music now, all of that. So I actually took up the guitars a little later. But again, this aversion to music just persisted because my family was kind of, they're like, okay, if you can do this kind of music, you can also come to the Gurdwara and perform and all of that. And I just didn't want to do it at all. And actually, I'm a little older than the both of them, I think. And when I was studying, so I studied law, and there was about 5 years of studying law, right? I finished my degree, but by the end of like my fifth year, um, I was actually doing a lot of cultural related things at my law school, more than like, I mean, it's not like I wasn't doing the law things as well. I really enjoyed studying law, but I didn't want to practice it because the practice aspect of it really troubled me. And all of that. So, in fact, once I spoke to my principal and I told him that I think I want to pursue music full time because by then everybody really knew me as a musician at my law school. So,
Right.
he, in fact, was very happy and he told me that I'm glad you decided to do this. And I was like, okay, if my principal can tell me that you shouldn't be a lawyer, you should be a musician. I was like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, that's just how it started, I guess. Then I got back into it full time. I pretty much completely gave everything up, and I decided I'm going to do music full time. So yeah.
When one listens to your music, the songwriting, explores such various themes. There's about nocturnal thoughts. There is, one's realization of self-worth, identity, um, love. These are just some of the various themes that are explored in your music. I want to ask the three of you, songwriting is such an integral part, for independent artists when they're putting out their music. But sometimes inspiration is it's the key actually when it comes to songwriting. So I want to ask the three of you, uh, where do you look to? I mean, who do you look at for that inspiration? I mean, how do these words really come out flowing in your song?
For me personally, I think experiences really help. Something that I sort of experience and really affects me. For instance, I'm constantly surrounded by animals because I work a lot for animal welfare, and that's something that affects me a lot. So you'll find a lot of my songs are written about animals and just around them. Two songs on my EP are about two cats. So it's
Yeah.
just a lot of experience based things. I'm not really constantly looking for inspiration, but when I'm inspired by an experience, I write. So it's just how it works for me.
Yeah,
Frizzle?
I agree with what Banat said. I too don't go looking for inspiration because I think that's when you get stuck the most when you're constantly digging to write about something. But certainly, experiences do help a lot. My recent single that I put out, Runaway, is all about my experiences. And I think the words came flowing over there because I already had these images in my head. And my first single was contrary to that because it was entirely fictional. So the entire storyboard was fictional. And what really helped over there, so the idea was sparked actually during a conversation. And this friend of mine just said these two words, which just so happened to, spark this entire narrative in my head. And so the entire song just became about these two people who are looking for something new in their lives. And that became the entire song. And so it really helped to sort of start imagining, look at pictures, and um, build on that. So yeah, I definitely don't go hunting for inspiration, but just when you get an idea, you certainly have to build on that.
I would say that, I mean, obviously, I'm 17, I have a whole life ahead of me. So I used to always
Yeah.
think, um, you know, okay, like before when I was like 14, I was like, how would I write about love when I haven't experienced love? I'm 14, how can I write about betrayal when I haven't experienced it? How can I write about this, that? So I was like, how will I write? And my dad, he is honestly the person who pushed me to write my first song when I didn't want to write. I thought, okay, I'll become a singer, but I didn't know. I didn't. It didn't hit me that, oh my god, if I want to become a singer, I have to release my own music. My dad was like, you can't just sit around doing covers. So he really encouraged me to write my first song. And I always thought, oh god, but what will I write about? Because I haven't experienced anything till now. I'm so young and haven't done anything in life. And like Frizzle said, when you look for inspiration, you never get it, and that's when you get stuck, like she said. And it just it just comes to me honestly, like whether it's an experience someone else has gone through and told me about it, like one of my friends, or maybe a song about my mom, or anything. So a song about depression, anxiety. So it just kind of comes to you. You don't have to experience what you write about. This is what I feel. You don't have to experience it. If you truly believe in it, and if you truly visualize your song coming into place, I feel like that's when you know.
So, how do you think, deal when you sometimes maybe hit a block? We all hit blocks, when we are, in the process of creating something we are so passionate about. But I mean, there is a hindrance or there is a block that we all hit upon. So, how do you guys deal with that? When when sometimes imagination just does not come into play. When sometimes the words just don't come out. So, how do you guys deal with that block? With those blocks, right?
First of all, it's very frustrating. I hate it. Every time I sit down and I have writer's block, I'm like, God, I can't again. And sometimes it happens over like a period of months, which is the most frustrating part. It's not just one day or one night or this hour or that hour. So I guess I kind of don't force myself to write, because then I feel like if nothing's coming in my head, and that I used to do that before. I used to sit there for like 5 hours, be like, no, 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 I've sat down, I have to write something. And that kind of, it doesn't help. So these days, or for the past couple of months, whenever I've been getting writer's block, or I don't know what to write about, I'm just confused, I just give it time, honestly. If you force yourself to think about things you want to write, it's never going to work out. You just have to think, you just have to kind of, you can watch a movie, maybe you can listen to other songs, get inspiration from that. You can never not get inspiration. So that's what I believe.
As a part of my architecture course, I took up this elective called architectural journalism this semester. So the most interesting thing I learned was editing whatever piece of writing it is that you're writing. So what my faculty would continuously keep telling me, so she did give us a lot of advice on how to deal with blocks, not just songwriting, but any sort of writing. So what I think would help was if you just sat down and wrote whatever came to your mind, no matter how bad it is, you will eventually come back to edit it, and maybe you'll be in a better, mindset or better frame of mind when you're editing it. So eventually, maybe on the 100th edit, you will find something that you like, or maybe you will just discard the song and write something new. And when you keep writing something that's just bad, it'll keep getting less bad eventually, and you will come up with something you like. So at that point during the course, we didn't have time to just get over the creative block. We would have continuous submissions every single day, right? Like 3,000 word submissions, and we couldn't afford to wait it out. So she would say, just write it, no matter how bad it was, come back to it and edit it. I think that really helped me, and that's something I would suggest to other people as well.
Yeah, actually, kind of. So I didn't know how to put it in words actually, because she put it really well. But that's something that I kind of do. I just sit on something and I keep working on it. It sometimes it takes days of just not getting any idea, and then there's one day that ideas start coming in for some reason. And it's not just that day; it's the culmination of all those days that you sat on it. When you weren't getting those ideas, and that's just my process. If I don't push myself, I will not be able to write, because it's I feel like personally, with the kind of music that I want to make, it has to be a lot of parts coming in together, and it takes a while writing those things, and it musically as well as the words. So I like to take a lot of time with it. I take a long time to write songs, but I like to push myself to do it as well, because if I don't, I will not end up writing. So I need to push myself, and that's just how it works for me. Yeah.
So when you're now listening to music of other artists, for say inspiration, or maybe you just enjoy listening to them. So who do you all listen to, at leisure?
I actually, there are a few artists that I always go back to. One is Jeff Buckley, who happens to be one of my favorite singer-songwriters. The other one is Jan Tiersen, who I go to inspiration for the piano. I think it's
Yeah.
his writing is beautiful, and there are a couple of more artists that I really like. Um, I listen to a lot of jazz music for some reason. It gives me inspiration. Don't know why, but I just constantly feel inspired to write, because jazz music can just, I don't know, just inspires me for some reason. So yeah, that's just what I keep going back to mostly.
And any Indian artist?
Uh yes, actually. I have a couple of, I want to think. Can I come back with an
Yeah,
answer for the Indian? Yeah.
sure. Go ahead, Kiara.
Okay, so I'm a pop girl. I love pop. So I would say that, I mean, I listen to a lot of Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, all those artists. And also there's this British girl band called Little Mix, who I'm obsessed with. And I literally worship them. And they really, inspire me, not to really write about about the stuff that they write, but kind of when it comes to vocals wise, because they're very, very talented and their vocals are really, really good. So vocals wise, I get inspired by them. But yeah, I would say like I also listen to a lot of old music. And when it comes to Indian artists, Pratik Kuhar, I listen to him a lot. And I would just say, yeah, pop is my thing.
I too, I'm a little on the pop side. I love listening to Ed Sheeran mostly for the way he storyboards his music. He writes really, really well. And I think even Pratik Kuhad is a brilliant songwriter. It feels effortless. His songwriting is so simple, it hits you in the right spot. But I also like listening to a lot of Frank Sinatra and Louis Armstrong because their songwriting is basically a conversation. It's not, it's not very cliche. It's someone just speaking to you. So I really admire that. I enjoy listening to some jazz and blues.
There are two artists that I was looking at, two very distinct, but one is actually a Pakistani artist. He's no more. But Nusrat Fateh, someone that I really look up to because of perhaps my Sufi roots, So I listen to a lot of Qawwali and Sufi music, and Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is hands down one of my favorite artists to listen to. And an Indian singer-songwriter that I actually really love is Nikhil D'Souza. I got hooked onto his music a while ago, actually, and he writes really well. So one of the very few that I kind of connect with in a sense because I understand where his inspirations come from. I think so. I really like his music as well.
How is 2021 looking up for you guys? If I may ask, like, what are the big plans, and is there any work in the pipeline that you would be hopefully putting out this year?
I would say like I fairly released my album in November 2020. So right now I'm just working on music videos of songs that were in my debut album, and I've already my songwriting process for my second album started while writing my first album. So I already have 4 5 songs that are ready, lyrics wise, and I'm going to produce them. And yeah, it's just more music, more content. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in
Is
terms
that?
of music for me, as long as I'm still studying, music will still be secondary. But I do have, a couple of songs that are in the process of being produced, and I think I will take 2021 to try and finish all of my planned songs and get them out there as soon as I can.
In fact, I'm really looking forward to this year because I finally have a bunch of listeners now, and I want to release more music. So I am in the process of writing a single actually, and I also want to release a Punjabi folk album this year. So that's another thing that I am working on. Yeah, so that's the plan. Yeah.
Well, we are all here for all the wonderful music that the three of you have in store for us in 2021 and, of course, the years to come. Thank you so much, Banat, Frizzell, and Kiara, for joining me this afternoon. And I wish you all the best. Please, all the music, the more the music, the merrier. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Thank you.
us.